Hello and welcome to Mr. Southerland's 8th grade math e-learning day for April 2nd. Last time we took a look at writing exponents, which is just basically repeated multiplication. So we see x times x times x. We can rewrite that as just simply x to the third. So one thing you got to realize is that this is x to the first, this is x to the first, this is x to the first. And so if there's not an exponent given, we assume that it is just the number 1. It's to the first exponent. So today we'll be looking at a rule called the product rule. And the product rule basically says that if you have things that have the same base, for example, x to the third times x to the second, we can simply take them and we can keep the base and we can do 3 plus 2, and that will give us that this should be written as x to the fifth. And the reason that works is if we think about this pretty simply, we can say that x to the third means x times x times x. And then we have x, and then we have multiplied by x to the second, which is simply x times x. Well, if you look, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is how we get x to the fifth. But the shortcut is to simply take these two exponents and we can add them together. All right, so let's take a look at how this looks when we're talking about just a simply regular set of numbers. And so if we look at number 1, it says 3 to the second, 3 to the fourth. Now, typically with regular numbers, you just go ahead and work this out. But for the purpose of this, I want to show you how this works. All we have to do is take the exponents. We're going to keep the base the same. So we want to keep 3. And then the exponents, we're just going to add them together. So 2 plus 4 is 6. So this becomes 3 to the sixth. Now, if you're really wanting to solve this out because it's a number problem and stuff, you can simply use Desmos scientific calculator. And we can do 3 to the sixth. And you'll find that that's 729. And we go back to our paper and we could say, okay, well, 3 to the sixth is equal to 729. Again, we can do this because this is just a regular number. Looking at number 2, again, we're going to look at the exponents first, 2 and 2, which means this is going to become 8 to the fourth, because all we have to do is add the exponents. Again, if you want to solve it out, you're more than welcome to. It's not necessary for the purpose of this paper, but we'll go ahead and do it. 8 to the fourth is 4,096. 4,096. For number 3, again, we're just going to look at the exponent part. We're going to write 2 to the sixth because we can just add those together. Again, if you want to solve it out, you're more than welcome to use Desmos scientific calculator. 2 to the sixth is 64. Number 4, again, we're going to keep the base, and we're simply just going to add the exponents. 4 plus 3 is 7. So it becomes 6 to the seventh. Again, if you want to solve it out, more than welcome to. It is 279,936. So 279,936. 279,936. Looking at number 5. Now, this one here is can be confusing for some people. If it does not have an exponent, there is an assumed 1 there. So we're going to take that 1 and that 4, and we'll get 2 to the fifth. Again, you can solve it out. If you want to, you can go 2 to the fifth. We get 32. And so this is equal to 32. Now, moving on, we're going to start looking at problems that have numbers and variables. And so remember that if there's not a number written, that we know that there's a number 1 there. The same thing is true for exponents. If there's not an exponent, we can assume that it's the number 1. So the first thing is you need to understand that you can rewrite multiplication in any order. So 2 times 3 times 4 is the same as saying 4 times 3 times 2. And so because we can do that, we can rewrite this in a different manner. Instead of saying 1x squared times 6x, we can rewrite this problem to where we can write it as 1 times 6 times x to the second times x to the first, which then allows us to go ahead and solve this. We can do this part here. So 1 times 6 is simply 6. And then we can go back to saying, all right, well, the exponents are 2 and 3. So x goes beside there. 2 plus 1 is 3. So 6x to the third. Again, that's a very broken down explanation of this. The easiest way to do this, in my personal opinion, is if you understand that you can break it down like that, then all you really have to do is say, okay, well, 1 times 6 is 6. And then if we look at this and this is going to become x to the third, because 2 plus 1 is 3. Again, see how I broke it down? I still end up with the same exact answer. So looking at number 7, I can now say, okay, well then I'm going to do 4 times 2 is 8. And then don't forget that there is the number 1 here. And so we keep the base, x stays the same. And 2 plus 3, in this case we're multiplying, is 3. So we end up with 8x to the third. Now looking at number 8, we're going to do the same thing. We got 6 times 2. 6 times 2 is 12. And then m to the first and m to the third, we're going to keep the base m, and 1 plus 3 is 4. And that's your final answer. Number 9, again, we're going to do the same thing. 2 times 3 is 6. We're going to keep the r. That's r to the first, so 1 plus 2 is 3. So this becomes 6r to the third. And that's as simplified as you can get. Looking at number 10, we're going to do the same thing. The only difference is we got more numbers here. So we're going to deal with our regular numbers first. So 7 times 6 times 6. If you want, you can use Desmos calculator. 7 times 6 times 6 is 252. So 252. And then we're going to keep, and then we're going to move on and look at just the exponents. So we're going to keep the letter P. 3 plus 1 is 4, plus 2 is 6. This is your answer. Number 11, same thing. You're going to multiply the regular numbers first. 7 times 7 is 49. We're going to keep the m, and then 2 plus 3 is 5. For number 12, you're going to do 2 times 7 is 14. 4 plus 4 makes it b to the 8th. So you end up with 14b to the 8th. Number 13 is going to be the same thing. You're going to do 6 times 6 is 36. And then we're going to keep the x, and then 3 and 3 make it x to the 6th. Number 14, 2 times 3 is 6. Keep the a. And then 4 and 2 become a to the 6th. So 6a to the 6th. Number 15, which is the last problem. So 7 times 2 is 14. And then we're going to keep the x. And remember, if there's not something written there, it's the number 1. So 1 plus 3 is 4. So it becomes 14x to the 4th. Now, this completes your actual review. You're going to complete problems 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30 on Canvas. You'll notice that I've made them multiple choice. So one thing that you might consider doing is, okay, for number 16, 2 times 4 is 8. Well, this is the only answer that has 8 in it. So we guarantee we're right, but go ahead and finish it out. V, and then there's a 1, that's a 1, V, 8V to the 2nd. Again, these are multiple choice. Sometimes it doesn't always work out like that, where you have that as a easy, quick answer. The other option is look and say, oh, well, this has to be x to the 4th. Well, this is the only one that has x to the 4th. Again, this is your assignment for today. You have up to 3 attempts on Canvas to complete the assignment. If you don't like your score the first time, you can take it again.